Thanks for staying tuned to your station, the Africa Independent Television, and welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. As usual, every week we'll give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Wherever it is in Africa, we'll bring it to you. Welcome to the programs today. My name still remains Patrick Abambo. Today we'll be looking on a very important topic, which we call sustaining the aggressive fight against terrorism and insurgency in Nigeria, particularly who have been battling with terrorism and insurgency for the past 13 years, and we need to finish it up once and for all, and so it's expected. But like we always know, we know already that terrorism is not something, it's not a 100-meter dash. You don't allow it into your country, because once you experience terrorism, it becomes difficult to do away with. But I have a guest. We're expected to have two guests today that will be looking at how can Nigeria sustain that fight and eventually come out with the total victory over this evil of our society. Yes, but that will be after this report from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja Police Command, because recently there have been diverse reports of insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and Security Watch Africa decided to reach out to the Commissioner of Police in charge of the FCT to find out what is happening, what are they doing, what should be done to ensure that the FCT remains the safest territory in Nigeria, as it has always been. Talking about CP Sunday Babaji. Sit back as we bring you this report put together by Peggy Agbe.
The Nigerian state has been faced with various forms of insecurity and crimes on a daily, which is no longer news as miscreants continuously devise ways of planning and executing calculated crimes. Aside the disturbing killings and displacement of persons in the north by Boko Haram insurgents, the incessant killings in the east by unknown gunmen, and recently disturbing news of kidnapping and banditry in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Security Watch Africa spoke with the Commissioner of Police for the FCT, CP Sunday Babaji, and what is being done.
Security in FCT can be adjudged to be relatively stable, meaning not without some challenges which is bedeviling the nation, not just FCT. We have cases of kidnapping, banditry, but that of kidnapping is more prominent in the suburb of the Federal Capital Territory because of bordering states, Nasarawa, Kaduna, Niger, and Kogi. We've been having some challenges there in the remotest areas where we have difficult terrain. These kidnappers once in a while come around, pick these poor farmers or cattle rustlers, cattle rearers, and be demanding for ransom. But the FCT command, we have deployed our men, covered and overt, with the collaboration and synergy with the locals, and we are getting on top of the situation.
He also talked about the mass arrest of some people within the FCT, which of course aided the police in curbing the issue of Babambola, people who ransack waste bins within the metropolis.
We have been receiving a lot of complaints about this Babambola, and we have videos to show Nigerians, if they are ready to watch, where these Babambolas that carry sack in the night, they'll be moving from street to street. If you have this generator called Better Pass My Neighbor, they will off it, carry it and put it inside the bag. If you spray your clothes and go to work, they will carry it and put it. Electronics, once you forget it, they will carry it. Street lights, they will remove it. So the menace is too much. That is why people are complaining, and we decided to clamp down on them. And since then, we've been charging them to court.
About street hawkers who sell machetes and other dangerous weapons in traffic, he had this to say.
No, it's not allowed, actually. If we see them, we will definitely arrest them. Because these are weapons. They are not supposed to be sold publicly. So once we are aware, we get them arrested.
Also threatening the security of the Federal Capital Territory and its environs is a rate of one-chance activities committed by miscreants who drug and rape their victims. In some cases, rob and kidnap passengers in taxis. Some Nigerians suggested ways to avoid being victims of one chance.
The earlier people, begin to adopt safety measures and not just entering cars, boarding cars at indiscriminate places, but having the mind to stay disciplined to go to designated parks and board from there, I think it will go a long way in curtailing.
Individual intelligence. I think nothing can really be done about it apart from we the individuals being very clever.
The Commissioner of Police, CP Sunday, spoke on what the command is doing and what commuters should do before boarding any taxi.
We are synergizing and re-strategizing to see how we can bring it to the BRS minimum. But one of the major things that the residents can assist us is to be security conscious. Because it's not all vehicles you are going to board, a policeman will be there to advise you. You should try to be security conscious. When you see 2 or 3 persons in a vehicle and they are saying, one chance to so police, you should shine your eyes.
Security is everybody's business and cannot be overlooked. We should go back to the days of being a brother's keeper. If you see something, say something. Peggy Agbe, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. Yes, I think the FCT Police Command is doing a good job. More still needs to be done. Reports is that these people selling this machete on the traffic and dangerous weapons like daggers and knives, those people should be raided off the roads because it portends great danger to our society. That should not be encouraged by any means at all. So just like the Commissioner of Police said, there are routes where you get them in the traffic period, particularly the Nyanya traffic area. Reports is that they are there most of the traffic period, selling this machete on the traffic, hawking it openly. When you go towards the Kubwa Aziz, we also got information that they are on that road selling these during the rush hour traffic period. Then even within the metropolis itself, the municipal itself, where they call the Apo bridge by the legislative quarters, you see them also selling these knives. So this is information to you, CP Sunday Babaji and your men. You need to take these people off our streets so that the people in the FCT can feel safe and secured. Yes, let me come to the topic we're looking at, because when insurgency and terrorism entered Nigeria, a lot of people thought this is a strange development in our country. But somehow things were not done right, and it fostered for a very long time. It became a big monster that the terrorist group in Nigeria was ranked by the United Nations as the deadliest terror group in the whole world. But kudos to the Nigerian army and other military services and the security agencies. They have drastically brought them down. In fact, some of the actions of these our soldiers demands a lot of commendation, because even in the swampy area, rainy season, rainy period, these soldiers are there fishing out and flushing out these terrorists, really. But they still need to sustain this fight and ensure that wheresoever these people are, they are eliminated and taken away from our society, so Nigeria can experience peace. It's gladdening to hear from the Mr. President, who is also the Commander-in-Chief, yesterday in Boeing, when he said that any man, anybody, citizen seen with arms and weapons, seen with AK-47 should be shot at. Some people may say that is drastic, but I think it's a way to check this terrorism, banditry, and what have you. And the secessionist agitation in the southeast that is becoming very, very, very troubling also. I have with me in the studio already one of our guests here talking about my brother Malam Suleiman Obagaya. He's the CEO of Sky Limit Media Group and also the immediate past Deputy National President of Nigerian Guild of Editors. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Of course, you're not a strange face to our viewers, but for sometimes you have close to 5 months or more you've not been in the studio with us. So it's a pleasure to have you back in the studio.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, on the screen, if they bring it by, you see our soldiers, even in the very swampy areas, making sure the amphibious group, making sure that wherever it is, whatever means, they will get to these criminals. Tell me, what would you say so far that Nigeria, how will you rate the Nigerian fight against terrorism?
Well, my overall assessment is that the security and intelligence services have covered a lot of ground. By and large, they have succeeded a lot against expectations. I said against expectations in the light of the fact that the challenges are too many and the troops are overstretched, operating virtually in the 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja. You know, quelling trouble started mostly by politicians, or rather unscrupulous politicians. Permit me to use the word. So, by and large, they have succeeded in restoring peace. Of course, it's a work in progress. A lot of work needs to be done, and they are doing it. So, for me, they have done a lot, and we should continue to support them to achieve more for the nation.
Okay, because I think drawing from what you just said, they have done a lot because looking at other nations that are experiencing terrorism one way or the other, it seems to be lingering. Even the mighty nations that went to some countries were not able to take care of it. But so far, it seems Nigeria military, particularly the lead agency, which is the Nigerian Army, has done well. What would you say has helped them this much?
Okay, a little digression. You know, talking about global efforts against terrorism, God so kind, next week there will be a very major international conference against terrorism that will take place in Morocco in the city of Marrakech. And I am going to be part of it. I am going to cover it as an editor. I was selected as one of the editors that will cover it. So probably in the next edition of the program, I will be able to say more about that. Then talking about the Nigerian Army, it keeps making us proud for many, many years. And I'm pleased that the incumbent Chief of Army Staff has continued also, you know, to discharge his responsibility, making sure the Nigerian Army is up and doing, making sure that in spite of the fact that they are overstretched, they are doing their best in terms of quelling the terrorists and defeating them, killing them all over the place. You can see there are so many achievements in terms of IDPs now returning to their bases. Borno State has had local government elections, and a lot of things. You know, before now you can hardly even travel by road to Maiduguri safely. Now it is largely safely. Even the Kaduna-Abuja highway that is dreaded has now been as much as possible, even though there is still a work in progress. But by and large, you can travel on Abuja-Kaduna highway safely. I drove on that road just 2-3 days ago.
Yeah, 2-3 days ago. Yeah, you drove on that road down here.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's relatively peace. You hardly see anything that will instill fear in you, you know. And there is a heavy presence of the police, the civil defense, the army, all the security services doing a lot. And of course the intelligence services also, the Directorate of Military Intelligence, Defense Intelligence Agency, the DSS, the police intelligence, all of them are collaborating to make sure Nigeria is more peaceful than before.
Yeah, talking about overstretching, because that is really one of the issues. During the week, just this week, the Chief of Defense Staff visited the Inspector General of Police, and one of the comments or requests the IGP did made to the Chief of Defense Staff was that is looking forward to when the military will go back to their traditional responsibility, which is protecting the territorial integrity. But today, the military's presence is in 36 states of the Federation, which is sad, really. But how did we come to that point? How did we get to this point that it's like every situation we want the military to be there?
Well, you see, honestly speaking, we need to address the issue of insecurity from its roots. There are issues we have not been addressing, like governance at state levels. You know, Nigerians are paying overdue attention to the federal government.
Exactly.
What do our governors do, you know, in terms of providing security with the stupendous amount they collect every month, billions of naira, in the name of security bond? You know, governors, or rather most of the state governors, have succeeded in killing the local government system. The local government system was the one providing hope to the hopeless. For example, a son or daughter of nobody can rise to become a local government chairman or a councillor before now. But recently, governors don't allow that. They only handpick those who will be councillors, those who will be local government chairmen, and when the election take place, they make sure only the political party of their own, you know, become victorious. You find situations where political party of the government in power purportedly winning all the local government,
exactly,
all the councillor seats.
Yeah.
You know, the last time I think a real local government election took place, to the best of my knowledge, was in 2007, when Shekaru, then governor of Kano State, conducted local government election, and he was in AMPP, and if I remember, out of 44 local governments, about 10 were won by PDP, you know, and several councillors also of PDP. But from then onwards, I have not known any state that has allowed opposition party to produce even one councillor. It has always been 100%, you know. Then there is the issue also of we the citizens doing more in terms of cooperating with the security and intelligence services. Right now, what we are doing is more or less helping or aiding the enemies of the nation. You know, by our refusal to cooperate with the security and intelligence services, by the way we amplify their victories, I mean the victories of the enemies, whenever they attack a village or some town, you know, we keep amplifying it through the social media and at times even the mainstream media. These are some of the things we must avoid, because you see, while you feel this war is far from where you are, you know, God forbid it could reach where you are. You know, it can be anywhere. Look at Abuja. We have just watched a report on Abuja. You know, insecurity gaining ground somehow, surreptitiously in Abuja. Of course, I'm impressed with the police commissioner, with the police in general, and the security services in general, you know, as far as the matter of securing Abuja is concerned. But the fact that we're even talking about Abuja now tells you how serious the matter is becoming.
Exactly.
You know, people that were based in Abuja would think that, you know, insecurity was beyond them, that they will only hear about it or watch it on TV. But now it's reaching to where they are. So these are some of the issues we need to be concerned about.
In fact, if I would want you to expatiate more on two things you raised, because the issue about governance in the state and local level is a big issue. I think it seems that most of us concentrate on what is happening in the federal and not caring about what the government is doing. But the Constitution of Nigeria also, to a certain extent, says that the governors have a role to play in terms of security. When there is insecurity in any state, people will just blame the federal government. Now, like you said, governors have emasculated the local government system and is non-existent and all that. What should Nigerians be doing to that? Do we need to make a demand from our state level of governance to make a change?
Yeah, certainly. I remember President Buhari issued an executive order, was it number 10, if I remember when, you know, insisting that governors must allow independence to local governments and as well as the judiciary at state levels. Unfortunately, the governors challenged it, I think up to the Supreme Court, and the judgment was against the federal government. You know, and ever since then, you know, the impunity has continued. The governors have continued to up the ante in terms of doing what they want. Even the judiciary, they don't allow it to operate as freely as it should. You know, not to talk of the local governments, which has completely been emasculated. As far as the reality is concerned, local government system doesn't exist in Nigeria anymore. You know, so Nigerians, honestly speaking, should, rather than blaming the federal government all the time, of course, while the blame should be, I'm not saying federal government should not be blamed.
No, they should be.
Certainly,
Yes.
it should be blamed.
They control security largely.
Yeah, exactly, and you know, security is in the exclusive list.
Yes.
But then governors collect billions of naira monthly in the name of security bond, which means they are obliged to also help in provision of security. And governors also, you know, give directions to police commissioners and even to army commanders in their states. So, you know, even though it's in the exclusive list in our constitution, governors have a lot of role, a big role to play in terms of, you know, aiding the security services and in general provision of security in Nigeria. Nigerians should, rather than paying overdue attention to the federal government, pay more attention, first of all, to their own states. If you are coming from Kaduna or from Port Harcourt or from Akwa Ibom, wherever out of the 36 states, including even Abuja, ask your governor, Your Excellency, what are you doing to scare us? You know, be convinced that the governor is doing that. Be convinced, make sure that the government, especially the ones that are coming in 2023, do not emasculate the local government system. Make it part of the electioneering process. You know, for you to elect a governor, let him promise that he will allow a free local government system, independence of judiciary, independence of the third tier of government, which is the local government, you know. Then, of course, there is the issue of deprivation. So many youths are deprived today. I know of someone who has a master's degree from Zamfara State. He looked for a job, he did everything to, you know, to try to pay for himself. When he could not, somehow he was approached by these bandits and he started supplying them with weapons. They were paying him 1 million naira each time he brings supplied weapons. And somehow they gave him some money which he misappropriated and they ended up killing him brutally. So you see, we cannot continue like that, honestly speaking. The youths should be given hope, you know, and it's not just the federal government, which I'm sure is engaged in so many intervention programs like the SHUAP, so many other interventions by the central bank, by so many other agencies of government, you know. So I think the federal government is doing a lot, certainly not as it should. It can never be enough,
of course,
obviously, because of the economic situation in the country. But the state governments, I mean, should also do more, you know, in terms of giving hope to the hopeless, so that it will be more difficult for these enemies of the nation to recruit from among our graduates, from among our secondary school graduates and the rest.
Okay, one of the things you raised in your earlier submission was that of how when we see or hear of any victory by these enemies of the society, we were quick to broadcast it and talk about it. And I remember that the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, did say that the oxygen of terrorism is the media. That when media gives them publicity, then they want to do more, and they are gingered, they're encouraged to do more. What would you say to this? Yeah,
he was completely right. It's like in a football match. You realize that globally, whenever a team is playing at home, because of the massive support it gets, you know, there are chances that team will win, you know. But when you are playing away from home, it becomes more difficult for you to win. So it's the same thing. Our troops are human beings like us. They have feelings like us. When in a situation where they are depending the elements to be in the bushes, in dangerous places, in the trenches, fighting the war for us, and all they hear are words of discouragement, it bounds to lower their morale. So honestly speaking, the media needs to do a lot and a lot more in terms of supporting our troops, in terms of making sure that the support it inadvertently gives the enemies of the nation stop. You know, there was this assessment, I've forgotten by which organization, that says the support we inadvertently give, the media gives the enemies of the nation, is worth billions of dollars annually. Yes. And when Nigerian Army, for example, wants to place an advert, it must pay. Yet the enemy gets free publicity in our newspapers and the television.
The front page.
You know? Exactly, front page.
There's some newspapers, their front page cover is just all.
Exactly.
It's actually a big trouble.
And now look at also the issue of Maiduguri, or the Northeast in general. You hardly even hear about the Northeast now. You know, our troops have succeeded in,
yes,
you know, in winning that war largely in that part of the country, apart from maybe some attacks on sub-targets, like the one that have taken place recently in Gedem and Geshua. You know, but you hardly hear it mentioned anywhere in the media.
Maybe we needed, just recently the United Nations Secretary General came, and his statement was actually far-reaching, because he said what he's seeing in the Northeast, particularly in Borno, is different from what he's been hearing from the media. And he said, look, these are not the people he's been told about.
Exactly.
Okay, so now as we are getting signal to go, because that is one thing about television. Time is of importance and essence, because other programs must continue. Now, what do we do? What should we do? What should the citizens do?
The citizens, honestly speaking, should realize that the war against terror is for all of us, not just the troops. The troops are just fighting it on our behalf, and they cannot. How many of them are there? You know, a few hundreds of thousands, you know, taking charge of over 200 million people. So we need to do a lot more. We need to play that 60% role that is spelled out, you know, in terms of cooperation, in terms of support to the security and intelligence services. The army or the Nigerian troops have only 40% role to play. So we need to do more in terms of providing information to the intelligence services, and in generally in cooperating with the security services.
All right, thank you so much. We must leave at this point, because other programs must continue. If you have enjoyed watching us, please do join us again next. We're going to bring you another exciting and informative edition of this program. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. Send questions or messages. Our guests here can take it up and give you some answers, whatever you need to know. So feel free, or follow us on our YouTube page, so you can watch the previous edition of this program. Until we come your way again next week, I'll say bye for now and remain blessed. Thank you for being with us.